You're welcome to today's news analysis. This is not noise. This is not rumor. This is about power, leadership, and Nigeria's future. If you care about this country, if you care about truth, and if you're tired of stories with no action, subscribe now, turn on the bell, and stay with me till the end. Because this one matters. Let's get into it. Peter Obi has spoken. And this time, he made one thing very clear. He said he dissociates himself completely from those who go around insulting other leaders within the ADC coalition. According to him, such people are not speaking for him, and they do not represent his values. He described them as criminal elements whose main aim is to damage the Peter Obi brand. He went further to say those following him will never say anything bad against his colleagues in ADC. Rather, they're some elements who were there to hurt his reputation, brand, and movement planted by the opposition. This statement did not come out of nowhere. It came at a time when political tension is rising, alliances are forming, and social media has become a battlefield of insults, threats, and reckless statements. In this atmosphere, many Nigerians have started confusing loud attacks with real political engagement. Peter Obi's response was calm, firm, and calculated. By distancing himself from name-calling and abuse, Obi is sending a strong message to both his supporters and his critics. He is saying that opposition politics does not have to be dirty. He is saying that disagreement does not require insult. Most importantly, he is saying that leadership must reflect character, not anger. This matters because political brands in Nigeria are fragile. Once a candidate is linked to violence, insults, or chaos, that image is hard to clean. Obi understands this reality very well. His appeal over the years has been built on discipline, data, and a calm tone. Allowing reckless voices to speak in his name would slowly destroy that image. His statement was a clear attempt to stop that damage before it spreads further. It is also important to note that he did not attack anyone directly. He did not respond with threats or counter-insults. Instead, he chose clear language and drew a boundary. In Nigerian politics, where silence is often taken as consent, this kind of clarification is significant. He is telling the public that support does not mean blind loyalty, and activism does not mean lawlessness. Another key issue here is coalition politics. The ADC coalition brings together different leaders with different histories, supporters, and styles. In such a setting, tension is expected. However, Obi's statement suggests that cooperation must come with respect. You cannot claim to be working together while tearing each other down with words. That approach weakens the coalition and gives opponents easy ammunition. For many Nigerians watching closely, this moment reveals how Obi wants to position himself ahead of future political contests. He is not just selling policies, he is selling a style of leadership. A style that rejects chaos, rejects street politics, and rejects insults as a political tool. Whether people agree with him or not, the message is consistent. There is also a deeper issue beneath this statement. Nigeria's political space has become emotionally charged. Supporters often take things too far, believing they are defending their preferred candidate. In reality, they sometimes do more harm than good. By calling such people criminal elements, Obi is making it clear that he will not protect anyone simply because they claim to support him. This is a risky but bold stance in a country where politicians often enjoy fanatical support. Critics may say this is just talk. Supporters may praise it as maturity. But beyond opinions, the statement forces a conversation Nigerians need to have. What kind of politics do we want? Do we want a system where insults replace ideas? Or do we want leaders who can disagree without dragging the country deeper into division? Peter Obi's intervention, at this point in time, also reflects awareness of public mood. Nigerians are tired. Tired of noise, tired of fighting, tired of empty drama. Many people want serious discussions about the economy, electricity, jobs, and security. When politics becomes too toxic, those real issues disappear from focus. His statement attempts to bring attention back to substance over sentiment. In the end, this is not just about Peter Obi. It is about setting a tone. It is about reminding Nigerians that democracy is not war. It is debate. It is choice. And it is accountability. By openly rejecting insults done in his name, Obi has placed responsibility on his supporters to act with restraint and sense. Whether this will change behavior on the ground remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the message has been sent, clearly and publicly. And in Nigerian politics, clarity is rare. He went further to make his position even clearer. Peter Obi openly described Atiku Abubakar as his leader within the coalition, while referring to Rotimi Amici as his brother. He also acknowledged the presence of many other respected figures working together under the African Democratic Congress coalition. This was a deliberate signal of unity, not rivalry. By choosing those words, Obi was sending a calm but firm message: this coalition is built on respect and cooperation, not ego or personal battles. He made it clear that differences in background or ambition do not erase shared purpose. For him, the focus is collective responsibility, not individual supremacy. In a political space where leaders often struggle to recognize one another, this public acknowledgement stood out. It reinforced the idea that the coalition is not a battlefield, but a platform for joint effort. And in a country as divided as Nigeria, that tone alone carries weight. In 2022, President Bola Tinubu made a statement that stood out from the usual campaign promises Nigerians are used to hearing. It was direct, bold, and easy to understand. He said that if he failed to provide steady electricity within his first 4 years in office, Nigerians should not vote for him for a second term. Many people took those words seriously because they sounded like a clear contract with the public. Fast forward to 2026, and the situation on ground is raising serious concerns. In January alone, the national power grid has collapsed twice, and the month is not yet over. This is not an isolated problem. In the previous year, the grid reportedly collapsed around 12 times. Each collapse leads to widespread blackouts, disrupts businesses, affects hospitals, and adds to the daily hardship faced by ordinary Nigerians. Electricity is not a luxury. It is the backbone of any modern economy. When power fails repeatedly, factories slow down or shut completely. Small businesses spend more on fuel to run generators. Households pay higher costs just to meet basic needs. For a country already struggling with inflation and unemployment, unstable power supply deepens the crisis. The situation becomes even more troubling when Nigeria's power output is compared with that of other countries. Nigeria, with a population of over 200 million people, still generates a fraction of the electricity needed to support its economy. In contrast, Turkey, a country with about 87 million people, produces and distributes more than 120,000 megawatts of electricity. Nigeria struggles with less than 5% of that capacity. This comparison highlights not just a gap, but a long-standing failure in planning, investment, and execution. At the same time these power challenges continue, the president has embarked on another foreign trip, this time to Turkey. While international engagements are part of presidential duties, many Nigerians are questioning the timing and priorities. The country is facing serious internal problems, and power supply is one of the most visible and painful ones. Critics argue that leadership presence at home matters, especially during periods of repeated system failure. The concern is not about travel itself, but about results. Nigerians want to see clear progress on the promises that were made. The president's own words have become the benchmark by which his performance on electricity is now being judged. When power collapses repeatedly, those words return to public discussion, louder than before. Another issue raised by analysts is accountability. For years, power sector problems have been blamed on past administrations, technical faults, or external factors. While some of these explanations may be valid, Nigerians are increasingly impatient with excuses. They want timelines, solutions, and measurable improvement. The promise of steady electricity within 4 years set expectations high, and expectations naturally come with scrutiny. There is also the wider implication for national confidence. Electricity is often used as a basic test of governance capacity. When a government cannot keep the lights on, citizens begin to question its ability to handle more complex challenges. This erosion of confidence affects investor trust, public morale, and the overall image of the country. Many Nigerians feel that attention is slowly shifting away from governance toward political calculations about future elections. Discussions about second terms, alliances, and succession are already gaining ground, even as core issues remain unresolved. For critics, this focus is misplaced. They argue that performance should come before politics, and delivery should come before ambition. The repeated grid failures have therefore become more than a technical issue. They are now a symbol of broken expectations. Each collapse renews public debate and increases pressure on the government to act decisively. Silence or slow response only fuels frustration. At this point, Nigerians are not asking for miracles. They are asking for honesty, focus, and sustained effort. The power sector has been a problem for decades, but bold promises create new standards. When those standards are not met, citizens will naturally demand answers. The President's 2022 statement has now returned as a reference point in public discourse. It is being repeated not by opponents alone, but by ordinary Nigerians who are tired of darkness and uncertainty. Whether the remaining time will bring improvement remains to be seen. What is clear is that electricity has become a defining test of this administration's credibility, and Nigerians are watching closely. As these developments continue, attention is gradually shifting to a deeper national concern, the direction of governance and the priorities shaping Nigeria's future. Beyond individual statements or single policy failures, many Nigerians are beginning to question whether the country's leadership culture is truly aligned with the needs of the people. One striking issue is the growing obsession with elections rather than performance. Political conversations across the country are increasingly focused on who will run next, who will align with whom, and how power will be retained or transferred. Meanwhile, everyday realities such as electricity, security, cost of living, and job creation remain unresolved. For many citizens, this imbalance reflects a system more invested in political survival than in public service. Good governance is not built on promises alone. It requires presence, consistency, and accountability. When leaders appear more visible during campaign periods than during moments of national difficulty, public trust weakens. Nigerians are not just evaluating policies, they are assessing commitment. They want to see leaders who stay engaged with domestic challenges and respond swiftly when systems fail. The persistent hardship faced by citizens has also changed public expectations. In the past, many Nigerians tolerated delays and excuses, believing that problems were too complex to fix quickly. Today, patience is thinner. Economic pressure has forced people to pay closer attention to how decisions are made and who benefits from them. Electricity failure, rising prices, and unemployment are no longer abstract issues. They directly affect survival. Another concern is the lack of collective demand for accountability. While social media debates are loud, coordinated civic pressure is weak. Many Nigerians express frustration online but feel powerless to influence real change. This has created a dangerous gap between public anger and effective action. Without structured demands and sustained pressure, leaders often feel little urgency to correct failures. At the same time, political leaders continue to frame criticism as opposition attacks rather than legitimate public concern. This approach deepens division and reduces space for honest dialogue. When accountability is treated as hostility, governance suffers. A healthy democracy depends on the ability of citizens to question authority without being dismissed or threatened. There is also the issue of national dignity. Constant system failures, combined with visible comparisons to other countries, have affected how Nigerians view themselves. When citizens see nations with fewer resources perform better in key areas, frustration turns into embarrassment. This emotional impact is often ignored, but it matters. A country's morale influences productivity, unity, and hope. Calls for unity and cooperation have therefore become more urgent. Nigeria's problems are too deep to be solved by one party or one leader alone. They require collaboration across political, ethnic, and social lines. However, unity cannot be built on empty slogans. It must be rooted in shared responsibility and mutual respect. The role of citizens in this moment is also critical. Democracy does not end at the ballot box. It continues through monitoring, questioning, and demanding results. When people disengage, poor governance thrives. When people remain informed and vocal, leadership behavior changes, even if slowly. Many analysts argue that Nigeria is at a crossroads. The choices made now will shape not just the next election cycle, but the quality of life for years to come. Continuing on the same path risks deeper decline, while a shift toward accountability could restore confidence and stability. The challenge is not a lack of ideas. Nigeria has plans, policies, and experts. The problem has always been execution and political will. Until leadership is measured strictly by results, progress will remain uneven. Promises will continue to fade, and public trust will continue to erode. Ultimately, the question facing Nigeria is simple but heavy: will governance be about service or power? Citizens are watching, comparing words with actions, and forming judgments that will not be easily forgotten. History has a way of recording moments like this, not through speeches, but through outcomes. What happens next will depend on choices made by both leaders and the governed. Demanding accountability, insisting on performance, and refusing to normalize failure are not radical acts. They are the foundation of responsible citizenship. Nigeria's future depends on how seriously these responsibilities are taken, now and in the years ahead.